Yo.
What up? What up?
Woo, what up? Let's go.
Dude, I think we had at least 2 podcasts.
Yeah. Oh, my
already.
God. Today, bro, we might be on the 3rd. Shit. Somebody owe us advertising money.
Dude, we always say that too, right? We're like, we should just come in here and just hit record.
I'm going to hit you with a lapel mic, like those ones that you just clip onto your shirt.
As soon as I walk in the door.
As soon as you walk in the door, I'm going to be like, put this on. I'm going to hit record, and then we're going to go and pop off from there.
Then we'll talk about some shit that we ain't supposed to talk about. End up editing fucking half the show out. You're like, why the show was 20 minutes?
Like, well, you see what happened was this climate. We said some shit that's going to get us off air before we get on, for
right?
real.
We don't get no sponsors.
Oh, man.
Yo, welcome back, everybody, to the Carbon Footprint Podcast. He is Juan, and I'm Sean, and every week we get together, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit them with the simple but delicious drink of the day.
This for all the y'all drinks be too complicated, folks, man. And we, you know what? I took 2 of our favorite things and just said, fuck it, they gotta go well together.
Wait a minute. Sorry. Welcome back to the Ginger Beer Podcast.
I forgot about that.
Sorry, hit him.
Yeah, we changed. This is the launch of the new this week. So I was like, yo, we love ginger beer and we always love the bourbon. So we're just gonna mix those 2 things together, and that's it. Literally did 2 ounces of bourbon. You see the High West right now if you're watching on YouTube, but we actually did the Jeffersons before this. We just finished the bottle of the Jeffersons, and no, it wasn't new, but we finished the Jeffersons, so then we moved to this High West right now. But 2 ounces of bourbon, top it off of ginger beer, which is probably about 6 ounces, and then garnish with a mint leaf. You know, clap the mint leaf. Make sure you crack the veins in the leaf, and then put it in there for the scent. And it is good, and it's simple. You don't got to sit there and play bartender. You know, it's like mixing soda, one, and man. You know, like if you're doing a rum and coke or whatever, vodka soda. Yep, it's exactly that, and it actually tastes really good, man. I'm like, I love it, and it's a take on like a. So this is called call it a brown and stormy, but it's a take on the dark and stormy, where it's usually like rum and ginger beer.
Oh, really? I've never had that.
Like it's good. Like rum and ginger beer is pretty good. Like you do a good dark rum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, man. Yeah, if you've never tried it.
Oh,
yeah,
shit,
and that's like a drink called the Dark and Stormy. I feel like there's something else I'm missing. There might be like
dude,
lime in there.
I stopped drinking rum because I always I feel like I drank liquor the next day.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
I try to kind of stick with things that don't make me feel like I drank something the day before.
Yeah, no, and it's funny, man. Through doing this, we're finding more and more what those things are.
Yep.
Like last week felt great. Like whenever we do tequila, mezcal, like the next day, I'm sure that there's in some ways you could tell I drank, but I didn't feel it. Like I woke up.
And we did 2 weeks in a row, right? Because last week was the poblano.
Yes, and then the week
before
that
was the mezcal.
The mezcal, and I felt great.
Yeah,
like the mezcal old fashioned with the thing, I felt great. The last week the poblano, which I thought, because of the sugar is usually the thing that gets me.
Yes.
Well, still fine, man.
And that's why I was thinking maybe that's what the rum does, because it has the sugar. And I kind of stay away from it, man. But yeah, I never had it. Ginger beer hits. It seems to hit with everything.
It does, man. And that's why I was laughing. I was like, bro, we always do this. Let's just dumb it down. We always do it like top it off with ginger beer. I'm like, fuck it, we just gonna drink ginger beer this weekend, bro.
Yeah, and you gotta hit it with the mint.
Because
that mint gives you that first aroma. So good.
It's good, and I feel like it would be good anywhere, man. Poolside, hot out.
It is refreshing.
Cold out, whatever. It still hits, man. So,
all right, man.
We simplified it this week for y'all.
Yes, sir. My carbon footprint, or our carbon footprint, I don't know if you got one, or we gonna go on this one.
We gonna go on this one, man.
It's going out to Shohei Ohtani, baseball guy, pitcher, batter extraordinaire. For those of you who are not baseball fans, he is currently a pitcher for the are they the Anaheim Angels?
I think so.
Right? Yeah. Are they Anaheim, I believe? But the Angels in MLB. But most recently, for now, yeah.
Yeah.
Most recently, he's from Japan, and he played in the World Baseball Classic that was going on for the last probably 2 weeks or so.
2 weeks, yeah.
Japan pulled it out. They actually won. They beat the U.S. yesterday for the title. And what was amazing about that game was that he is one of the best pitchers. He's probably a top 3 pitcher in the league.
And then one of the best hitters.
And then like top 3 hitter in the league.
In the American League, which is unheard of because the pitchers get to bat in the National League, like they're part of the rotation.
Right.
But in the American League, they don't bat at all, but they almost DH him, right? Like they DH him, and then they it's not so when he's not
on
pitching,
the days that he's not pitching, he's batting.
He's batting. That's Babe Ruth shit.
Yes.
that's
And so last night, the U.S. was down by 1. It was 3-2, and it was 2 outs, and I think it was the top of the 9th, and the U.S. needed a score, and who comes up to bat? It's Mike Trout, who is one of the premier hitters in the league. So it's Mike Trout against Ohtani, and Ohtani strikes him out.
Yeah, Mike Trout's listen, if MLB had a poster child because they're shitty at advertising, that's the guy.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah. Mike Trout is the quintessential like man of MLB right now. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. And Aaron Judge is
probably right there. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Mike Trout is. So it was one of those. It was funny, man. As I'm watching it, like I actually stood up off my seat, and I'm watching it, and I'm telling my kids like, "Yo, like come watch this because like this is." You could not have written a better script.
Oh my God! The best
to
pitcher
end the World Baseball Classic.
The best player, arguably in the world, not in MLB. The best player in the world.
Yeah,
pitching against the best player in Major League Baseball. Like it's Trout is in that conversation until a time came in, right? Like, and then
and their teammates, by the way,
and their teammates, and it's bottom of the 9th. And it's a 1-run ball game, and it's
2 outs.
Two outs. It's a runner on, right? Like if he gets a home run, they win it, right? There's a runner on base, I think, at this point.
You might be right on that. I'm not sure.
I can't remember, but it's definitely bottom of the 9th, 1-run game.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, and there's nobody else on that team that you want up there.
No,
besides Trout.
Yeah, if you got to pick, like, hey, at the end of the game, and in this scenario, who are you putting up there? You're gonna be like Mike Trout. Yeah.
It's not even a question.
It's not even a question, bro. It's literally a fantasy of if you could predict how the World Baseball Classic is gonna end. This is like your dream scenario. Oh my God, bro! This is like this would have been like World Cup getting Messi and Ronaldo. Like
right.
That. This is that for baseball. Yeah.
So crazy, man. But watching him and obviously seeing him play as well. It always seems like no moment is too big for this guy, and he steps up in the biggest moment of probably of his life. The guy hasn't won any World Series. But this is probably the biggest moment of his life, and then goes in there. He throws, his pitches were like 100 miles an hour, 102 miles an hour, and then he throws an off-speed pitch at 87 to strike him out.
He throws a slider that moves away. That was just filthy, man.
And you used to pitch, so you can really like appreciate that.
Yeah, I can't even dude. The fact that you could throw like you said, 100, 102, 100, like anybody who's ever, like you said, pitched at any level, and if you knew how to throw a breaking ball, to have 100-mile-an-hour speed and then have a slider that comes at you like a fastball and then just fucking moves away. As a batter, you have no fucking clue what just happened. Like, it's so bananas, dude.
Like him, like Mike Trout swinging, like, yeah, you're supposed to swing because it looks like it's another fastball.
Yes, and he swung where he should have.
Yep.
It's just that fucking ball moved where it shouldn't have gone. Like, it's just... It's a filthy dude, and
it moves out of the strike zone.
Yes, it starts in the strike zone, so you have to swing, and then it just, like you said, it moves away, and it's such a sexy. And here's the thing, bro, about baseball is that you normally don't have both. You either have 100-mile-an-hour speed, like for anybody like who doesn't understand baseball. As a pitcher, you're either a breaking ball pitcher or you're a like throwing heat, right? Like you have Mariano Rivera, he's throwing 100-mile-an-hour cutters. He just has a fastball and he has a changeup, maybe, right? Mariano's not throwing curveballs at you. He's not throwing sliders. Right. Like he had that fastball that moved away and up and high, like that was just disgusting. That I think
that just nobody could hit.
Nobody could hit.
It's a cutter.
It's a cutter, and it moved in. If you were right,
and it wasn't 100 miles an hour.
Dude, and no, it was probably 95, 96. Really, is what it was. It wasn't like 100 miles an hour for Mariano, but filthy. You're normally not doing both. So to have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and then be able to throw a slider that is 15 miles an hour slower, it boggles your brain, bro, as a batter. Like it's just like you have to know it's coming.
Right.
There's no way to hit that. You have to know it's coming. Like it's just insane, bro. And the chess match that those two, because again, Mike Trout has to know, like, all All right.
Yeah, he's a teammate, bro. You know he's pitching
he
against
knows.
them, bro.
And you could tell that last pitch, he was probably expecting heat, because then there's also the he wants to blow one past me. You know what I mean? Like, and then
Which he had just blown
he
two.
had just blown two, and he just fucking and
Dude,
for
and the
Ohtani to
100 and
go,
the 100 and the 102 right down the middle, bro.
oh my god, yeah, like hit it. I dare you.
Yeah,
like
right.
it's just yeah, dude. When you can throw that hard, you do just go, yeah, let's see, because you're not hitting that on the first swing.
Right.
Which again, it's the fucking
It's the
genius.
timing.
It's the timing. It's
Yeah.
he throws it once and you go, hoo hoo. And then the second time, he probably goes, he got a little bit closer. So now he's waiting for it, because that's you close your eyes and you're swinging down the middle kind of thing.
Right.
And he just goes, nah, I'm about to fuck you up because I'm going to throw. It's just, bro, I didn't see the game and I saw the highlight and
Yeah.
I was just like I just appreciated like you said, just the to hit him with the 100, and then you see that slider move away. I'm like, oh my God, how filthy.
Yeah, no, it was nuts, man. So Japan went 7-0 in this World
Yeah, they
Baseball
didn't lose a
Classic.
game,
Yeah,
huh?
and lose a game.
Wow.
Against teams that you could look at and it's just like, that's an all-star team. That's an all-star team. Like the Mexican team was excellent. The Dominican team was excellent. The Puerto Rican team was excellent. The Venezuelan team was excellent.
Oh
like
my
it
God,
was
yeah.
all of these teams, and I'm just like, holy shit. So going back to Ohtani, this dude is like you said earlier, he is a pitcher extraordinaire, batter extraordinaire, and is about, I think he only makes like 5 or 6 mil a year.
Yeah, and that
is
was
his
through
contract?
arbitration. He got a 1-year deal through arbitration. He
Okay.
was making 500K probably last season or season before that.
Oh, well,
they
they
just
was
settled
saying-
on an arbitration deal
Okay.
to make him, I think, either 5 or 10 mil this year, and that's to avoid the whole arbitration thing because the way the baseball contracts work out or
Gotcha.
whatever. But anyway, so this is his last year or his only year on that deal, and then he leaves. I mean, he ends up a Dodger or a Yankee, I think. After
That's
yeah.
probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And they're saying that his contract is going to be like upper 5 to $600 million.
Yeah, he's
bro.
gonna get 10 years, 550, 600, easy. He should. Like, if
It's
you're giving
insane.
that shit to Soto and Judge, got 7 years, whatever. But Judge is older. Otani, I think, is not even. Fuck, man, he might be
I don't even know how old he
24,
is.
man.
Let's find out.
Dude, you figure this guy's got 3 or 4 more World Baseball Classics in him. He's got another decade in his prime in the majors. He's got
28.
Okay, so he's older than I thought. Okay, so he's got, 5 years in his prime in the majors. He's got, probably 2 or 3 World Baseball Classics in his prime still. Like, dude, and we forget, like, we act like Japan didn't produce, like, some of the greats. Like, remember for a while, Japan was, like, the hot spot. Like, even the
Yeah.
Yankees, the Matsui. And
Yeah,
Tanaka.
And they got the Darvish guy, right?
Yeah,
Is he from there?
Darvish, who was a stud and then just fell off. Or
Who's the other
whatever.
guy? The guy that, like, the guy, I call him, like, the single king.
Oh, Ichiro Suzuki,
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, and they all came from that same era. Like, Japan was producing studs for like a long time, and obviously they still have a fantastic team. I just think they're like almost an afterthought on this side of the world because obviously the Caribbean and then just Latin America in general just produces
kills
like,
it.
great. Most of the major league talent comes from Latin America or the U.S. Right, so it's like.
Right.
Dude, and I think I misspoke last where I said that Puerto Rico had lost to the DR. Puerto Rico lost to the U.S. the last World Baseball Classic in the final.
Oh, okay.
And they lost to DR the year before that.
And this year, Mexico put him out.
Yeah.
Who they had a
Mexico.
fabulous team.
Yeah. And dude, but listen, they had some Cubans on there. Their best player was Cuban who has Mexican citizenship. We not even gonna talk about that.
Is that what?
That
is
ain't
that,
legit.
When I seen him, I was like, that dude's that Mexican.
Nah, the dark one?
Yep. I'm like, that dude look like he's from the hood
Nah, he
over
Cuban.
here.
He defected to Mexico and then he
really?
pleaded for citizenship. Citizenship. See, I said it like a Mexican. Citizenship.
You sound like the dog whisperer.
There are no bad dogs, just bad people. That was a horrible Mexican accent. But anyway, he's like, he pleaded for citizenship less than a year ago, like 6-7 months ago, bro, to the like president of Mexico on like Twitter.
Really?
And he got it.
Oh, shit.
And he said he would play in the World Baseball Classic for Mexico if he gave him citizenship, and they did. And of course you did. And then so. Yeah, this guy's he's a stud, and I think he's got a major league contract. I think he plays for the Blue Jays or something like that. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't think of
I
his
don't
name.
know.
But anyway, Mexico. Listen, shout out to Mexico. They came back on PR and played a great game. But dude, going back to Ohtani, man, I think first off, just you talk about like leaving an impact. What a generational talent. Like I think obviously like there isn't a huge baseball following anymore. Probably where we live, it's more of a
it's very
regional thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
regional.
Northeast and then like, St. Louis, and that kind of thing. And obviously out west in LA, the Dodgers, I think out. I was listening to something today. The Dodgers have the highest attendance than every other team in baseball by like 10,000, like on
Is
average,
that
like
right?
10,000 fans or something crazy like that. Yeah. So it's not even close.
Dude, if they're able to sign him, then you
my
start
God.
filling seats on a Tuesday.
And no city would be better for him than. And I know Anaheim is basically LA, but I mean, let's be real. If you're gonna be in LA, you want to be a Dodger. You don't want to be an Anaheim Angel. And then if you're gonna be in New York, you want to be Yankee. You don't want to be a Met. Like it's just like one of those things where like you're. Just like if you're in basketball, you want to be a Laker, not a Clipper, right? Like it's just one of those things.
Right.
He just doesn't look right in that. Do you figure it's inevitable he'll end up on the Dodgers or New York? Because again, even the Japanese fan bases for those teams is probably significantly larger. Like you can't put him in the Midwest.
I would imagine it's probably more so on the West Coast.
Absolutely,
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if I had to bet money on it, he's probably a Dodger. And after this season,
Yeah.
and they've been freeing up a shit ton. They've been letting people go and trading off and whatever.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that clearly tells me they're freeing up cap space because they know it's coming. Then they're gonna give him the 550 or whatever,
Yeah.
600 mil.
But so I want to get into carbon footprint. Obviously not because of just what he's done. It's just like I think he's one of these generational talents that where you look at, a lot of people praise Babe Ruth as like the best baseball player ever, right? And part of it was because of not only his hitting ability, but the guy used to pitch too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, different game back then. The athletic ability of baseball players back then was nothing like it is
Most
today.
overrated great of all time. And this is coming from a Yankee fan. Go on.
But Ohtani is doing things that you may never see again. It's almost like if you're a football fan, it's like taking an all-star quarterback and then when the defense comes on, he goes and plays fucking, he's a lineman.
He's a lineman, yeah,
or
yeah.
a shutdown corner,
Or goes, yeah.
or like it's like that. Like,
So
it's
true.
not. It's just not. Like, you don't
It's not
see this
normal.
shit, bro.
Yeah, you don't see it. And it's funny, man, because most baseball players come up playing both. Like if you're a pitcher, you always bat, right? And you do that in college, and you do that in high school, and you do that.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the majors, normally you're like,
You're a pitcher,
you don't do
bro.
that. You're a pitcher. That's what you are. And they all suck. Like you ever seen the American League pitchers bat? That's fucking terrible.
Yeah,
Most
it's
of them keep
horrible,
their
bro.
jackets on and stuff. Like, I'm like, bro, it's a foregone conclusion. You're an out, right?
Right.
Like it's. And in the National League where they bat more frequently, you still get like, yeah, that's probably an out. Like,
Dude, it's most of the time it's an
yeah.
out.
And this guy is, you might have to walk him. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude,
he's that
top.
good.
He is. I think other than Aaron Judge, he has the most home runs. I think in like the last 2 years.
Dude, could this be the first time this guy capable of getting a Triple Crown and the Cy Young?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Like, right, yeah,
Yes,
like
he's capable.
Like, I think if he gets that, that just cements him as like greatest
Right.
baseball player of all time, or one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Because you go, if this guy manages to, because his ERA is also lower,
Yeah.
one of the lowest in the MLB. To
Yep.
your point, and then I think home runs he was second to only Aaron Judge or third or something like that. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I want to say in the last, I thought I had a note here. He's definitely, I want to say he had like, what is it? Yeah, only player with more home runs over the last 2 seasons is Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge has like 110 or some shit. I think he has like 86.
wow. Yeah, that's unheard of, man. So good for him. And I think, and I wonder, does this change? Like we're always talking about like the impactful things. Does this change baseball moving forward? Does being a two-way player then become more feasible for kids coming up who are like, no, man, I don't want to just pitch. I do want to hit. I do want, does it do that? Hopefully MLB jumps on this from a marketing perspective. I don't know if he speaks great English, and that's hard to market someone who doesn't speak.
Yeah, I've only
Great
ever
English.
heard him speak Japanese.
Yeah, through a translator, I've heard
Yeah,
the thing,
yeah.
and so like, and you hate to see that, but you're like, you need to speak English to sort of break through from a marketing standpoint, like,
Right.
because this guy has potential to just be a global superstar, and because he's already doing something that's unheard of. Unfortunately, man, I don't know what it is, bro, but baseball produces very few now global superstars.
Yep.
Like.
And it's funny because it's one of the sports where you can see their faces.
Yes.
There's not a helmet on.
All the time. And they play it everywhere. You know,
Yep.
like it's not American. It's not, you said this is Japanese. Like the only place where baseball is kind of like, man, it's probably Europe, right? Like, but they still play it.
Right.
And so, it's just weird that we don't have, like, I know we've talked about this on here before. We're like, bro, Mike Trout could walk in the mall here in Orlando, and I promise you, like 9 out of 10 people don't know who he is. Like, he could probably walk.
I wonder if that's true, bro.
I think Mike Trout could get away with walking down the street here or walking through the mall, and he probably gets stopped significantly less. Like Mike Trout gets stopped in Anaheim or in St. Louis because they're hardcore baseball fans, or by Yankees, or New York.
No, makes
Yankees,
sense.
Mets, Boston. Like,
Yeah, here in Orlando, yeah.
no, here in Orlando,
We don't even know the Magic.
we don't. Yeah,
It's only because they're tall.
bro. How many Magic players? I could walk by Magic players now, and I wouldn't know who half of them are. I think. Like you said,
I've been watching. So.
the tall guys. I'd be like, you
You
must
do something." Yep, you do something.
Because there's very few, like for us, there's very few dudes that we look up to. So when you do, you're like, you got to be something, bro. Because we're not even that tall, but we know most of the, like,
Right.
I don't know if you ever realize this, bro. If you ever get in a crowd, look at how often you're looking down.
Yeah, it's not that much.
I'm saying you're looking down a lot. Like, at,
Oh, no, sorry.
at 5, yeah.
There's not a
Looking
lot
up,
of
you're
tall
not
people.
doing a lot, yeah. even
Although,
at
man,
5,
I
yeah.
have noticed that like my sons and like their friends, like I'm seeing the kids like in high school.
Oh, it's all the hormones in the food now. Yeah, these kids are gonna be great, bro. Yeah. All the bullshit they keep complaining about. Listen, these kids might get some weird shit later on, but they're gonna be massive.
They're all
And the sports
big,
are gonna be
bro.
great. They're gonna have third eyeballs and like 6 ears and shit. But man, they're 40 times they're about to be torching.
All right, man. So shout out to Otani.
Yeah, man.
Giving him our carbon footprint of the week. Let me tell you who didn't get the carbon footprint of the week.
Who didn't get it, man? Who didn't get it?
NHL Sharks goalie James Reimer.
Fuck.
This guy.
The fact that we're mentioning a NHL hockey, but even our podcast is beneath that.
I had to, man. My son used to play hockey. Now he plays a different form of hockey. It's called lacrosse.
Yep, this is grass hockey.
It's like they kind of run around on grass. Same
thing.
concepts.
Yeah.
This dude, he's plays for the Sharks. He refused to wear this pride themed jersey during like a pregame warm up, and he quoted his Christian beliefs as the reason why he didn't want to wear it. This is not new. There's been other players to decline wearing these. I think one of them was on the Flyers, Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah.
There was a guy on there that refused to wear. So I wanted to see like what did the jersey look like? So it had a heart in the center, and it has a shark on it, and then it has the double hockey sticks kind of crossing each other.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom of the hockey stick, the tape, like the hockey tape,
Yeah.
it's a rainbow hockey tape.
Okay.
So it wasn't crazy. But the Sharks organization came out and said, and I quote, "Religion and respect are not in conflict with each other, and we are certainly disappointed when religion is used as a reason to not support our community. Wearing pride jerseys like any celebration jersey worn is not the personal feelings of the athlete, rather the communication from the team that a community is welcome in the arena and the sport." Right?
Yeah.
So they have to do that.
Of course.
But
They have to give the corporate.
hearing
okay,
this,
sir.
right. Hearing this, like, what's your first reaction to that?
Man, I'm conflicted because my first reaction to that is he should be able to wear whatever he wants to wear. I understand it's his employer, and then you have certain beliefs, and if they go against your moral or ethical, I guess, beliefs, then I get it. But you should also be ready to lose your job for that. So, like, I will say that. Like, you should be, if they go, like, we're going to fire you, you should be ready for that, and you should be willing to stand 10 toes on that if that's the stance you're going to take. The other part of me immediately goes to, and full disclosure, like, I'm not religious at all, right? So I hate when people hide behind religion to sort of excuse what I would deem to be bigotry, right? Like, you don't, like, I understand, like, you don't have to agree because you think religious beliefs, but I do think the whole, like, same-sex thing and all that stuff, we're going to look back on this the same way we look back on, like, segregation. Where like, oh, you had two different water fountains, or you had to, you know, like
Right.
the idea that you would sort of like dislike people because of who they're sort of interested in sexually just sounds asinine to me. And so like, to me, it's just not the hill I'm willing to die on, because I just don't give a fuck what people do with their lives if they're happy.
But
like,
is it
they're
a
not hurting
dislike
people.
though? Because I don't think that the guy was saying like, you know, I don't like, you know, he's not preaching like, oh, God hates fags type thing, right? Like, it's not. I don't think he was going on
No,
that.
but I do think you're hiding behind this veil that's like this. I don't know, this like amorphous cause. Like, you can't even get Christian. Like Christianity is. First off, there's like different flavors of Christianity, right? Like, it's the only religion that has multiple flavors of it. Like, no Christianity is created equal. And so like some Christians are like, no, that's cool, that's fine, that's whatever. And you know, and they can cite Bible verses that sort of support their stance. And then you get other Christians who are like, no, it's absolutely fucking frowned upon. And like you said, the fags are burning in hell, and they'll cite their Bible verses for that stuff. Like, it's just like they can't even agree amongst themselves on like what the stance should be. And so like I hate whenever like people use religion to sort of, because you can use religion as a stance of why you're racist. Like, I've seen, you know, there's groups that do that. And so like if we start going down the line of like which groups do you believe, like if someone uses religion as a stance of why they don't maybe serve someone of a different color, is that okay? Like, so then it goes like, why do you care then what their sexual orientation becomes? Like, I just think that's like, it's a slippery slope in either direction, but I think it's going to be an antiquated, like.
Do you think that he didn't want to wear the jersey because he doesn't want them in the arena? Because I don't feel that.
No, I
you know
don't
what I
think
mean?
that.
Like, I don't think that
no.
that he cares that they're in the game. I don't think that he cares that necessarily that they. And again, I'm putting words in this guy's mouth. I don't think that he cares that he necessarily exist.
No, I don't think he thinks it that far ahead of like, I don't want them in this arena. I just think whenever anyone takes a stance of like, it's against my religious beliefs, you're saying I don't agree with how these people live their lives. And so like innately you're saying I don't want them in the arena because or not that I don't want them in the arena, but I sort of like I don't condone the way you live your life, and the way you live your life is being something that is just natural to them, right? Like I'd understand if you'd be like, oh, you're robbing banks, but it's like, no, I don't like who you love. I don't like who you're sexually attracted to. I don't like that's the part, which again, I do believe in their right to feel that way. Like, that's fine. I'd almost rather us have that discourse, because I think then we can all make decisions as a society on who you want to sort of associate with or not associate with, or even just knowing their stance on that, you go, okay, like I can operate in a specific way around them, right? But then I think then the team is well within there, because what if he winds up getting cut? Right, like if this is not a goalie that's very good, or this is like a player who's like making, and then they go, just fucking cut him. I don't want to deal with the media backlash of that. Like, then there's an uproar for that. Oh, you cut him because of his religious beliefs. Like, no, like, yes and no. Like, he chose it to be a religious belief. He just said he didn't want to wear this shirt, and he's an employee, and as an employee, this is a required uniform for that night, and we're asking you to wear it. He chose not to. We didn't fire him because he was religious. We fired him because he chose, you know, like I don't know, like, and I'm sure there's other jobs where this comes up, like maybe there's length of skirts, and maybe there's like, you know, tattoo things, or maybe there's whatever, or I don't know, like maybe there's uniforms that do conflict with religious beliefs and other sectors, but I would think that, you know, like I guess there is a pass for a lot of them, right? Because from an employment perspective, you can't fire someone for their religious beliefs. But what's the grounds? Like at what point do you draw the line? Like, when do you have to provide support? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that's kind of where that's what my thing is. And that's like, where do you go and you go like, look, like almost like, look, like my Bible says that I can't do that. Look, and again, the Bible, unfortunately, it's been interpreted so many different ways.
It's so ambiguous,
and
like.
it's so up for interpretation for a lot of things. Plus, it was a really fucking long time ago, and for you to kind of use principles from, you know, whatever, over 2,000 years ago to now, you know, it's just like, well, I mean, we had slaves a couple hundred years ago, so should we have that still now? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, listen, I have people that I know that are like really religious, and some of them believe in this way, right? Where they just go like, like, I'm not gonna bother with them, but I don't agree with that lifestyle. I think, you know, I don't know, man. I guess you have to kind of pick your battle.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably a bad battle for him to pick, because like you said, it's like, it's your employer. and your employer could now if this guy's good. I don't follow the NHL, but I imagine that if he wasn't really a good player, it probably wouldn't be news.
No.
So I imagine that he's a good player, and so you have that like teeter-totter of the organization, the way where they have to go, well, the guy wins us games.
And I think, the NHL, what's happening is I don't know if you've seen, there's been teams that have done this, entire teams that have advertised a Pride Night, and then day of, most of the players on the team are choosing not to participate.
Oh, no, I've not seen that.
And so I think there have been 2 teams in the last month that have, like, they've been advertising a Pride Night, blah, blah, and then the day of, the team will be like, oh, we're choosing not to do this today, blah, blah, blah. But then fans are showing up and fucking Pride
the
Night
entire
shit.
team says,
Yes.
we're not doing it?
Yeah, this has happened to 2 teams now in the NHL. So, like, it's already a sport that's probably not very, not welcoming that community with, like, open arms. And I think maybe it's their attempt of, like, no, like, we're
You're trying to be inclusive.
We're inclusive, but then you're doing this on those nights. So it's like, and listen, I understand this notion of, like, you never want people to feel uncomfortable in these scenarios or whatever. But I do think there comes a time where you have to have these conversations where, like, going back to that, how do you prove that? Like, how do you like, just hiding any type of, like, disdain, I think, for a group of people, or a lack of acceptance for people who aren't hurting, other groups behind religion, just becomes a slippery slope, because, like, I can use that as an excuse for everything to dislike anybody, right? And so, like, it's just a slippery slope. And it's funny, it's the only thing that we sort of give wiggle room to, right? Is, like, the religion thing, because I know there's, there's religious sort of exceptions for, like, the COVID vaccines when employers are making you do that, and there's religious exceptions for, like, like, bro, if your company's throwing a Christmas party and you're a Jehovah's Witness,
It's a holiday party, bro.
it's a holiday party, but even then, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you won't attend, right? Like, if you're a Jewish person, you're probably like, okay, you got to call it the holiday party, then I'll go.
Right.
But if you're a Jehovah's Witness, it's like, nah, we don't party at all, bro. Like,
Right.
So, yeah, and because they've figured out, bro, Jehovah's Witnesses, genius, bro. Everybody calls Jews cheap. Jehovah's Witnesses figured out a way to embed it into the religion. They're like, nah,
They don't do birthday parties, Christmas.
nothing. They might be the cheapest people on earth. Forget, like, everyone gives a Jewish crowd, like, oh, there's that. Nah. Jehovah's Witnesses embedded it into the religion. That shit is genius. So I'll be Jehovah's Witnesses around every holiday. I'll be like, nah, I'm exploring my spiritual side this month. But yeah, dude, this is, I don't know, man. Again, like, because I respect his right to feel and believe that way, but then I also wonder, like, at what point are you the white guy asking for a different water fountain for colored people? Like, I almost look at it as that extreme. Like, you're gonna be that guy.
Dude,
like, history's not gonna be kind to you.
I hope that soon, and I don't mean soon like this year or next year, but I hope soon in the near future, like, the need. Because I believe that having, like, Pride months, right? It's for the it's to sort of include everybody, right? So, like, I'm having a Pride month for for the LGBTQ community. I'm having a Pride month for I have like a Black History month, and I have Hispanic month, and I got we have all these months, and it's almost like, oh, we're gonna sort of all celebrate each other. Hopefully, man, one day in the future, we could just kind of all see each other as fucking human and not as these separate groups that need to be celebrated for a month.
Yeah, I think you don't want the need to celebrate people for a month, and then it just becomes sort of a celebration of people's cultures and their diversity and all that stuff. Like, the like you said, like, the reasoning behind these things now are sort of like to bring awareness or inclusivity. It's like, you hope for a time where you don't need to feel like you need to have inclusivity, but you are celebrating sort of like these cultures and these, like, things. Like, it's funny, like, one of the things that irks me now is, like, when people be like, I don't see color. I'm like, nah, you should, because, like, you should see color. You shouldn't be bothered by the color. You shouldn't, it shouldn't like, sort of dictate how you operate. But you should see color. You should see a brown or a black or a white or whatever, because, like, this is what makes us, right? Like, it's like, we are unique in our, if you're black, if you're brown, you do have different things culturally. And and so you do want to, like, you know, like this human condition has these experiences that are sort of fed by your culture and your surroundings and your
And
environment.
not for nothing, man. A black person that was raised in America, and there's different even facets of America, right? But you say an American black man versus a Caribbean black man versus an African black man versus a European black man, like even those are different
Those
cultures.
are very different. And so I think you should see that, because you should acknowledge that and sort of try to appreciate that or learn from that. Or because like I love, listen, black or white or brown or whatever, like if I meet, you know, like a white person from the deep south and you know, they're twangy and they're talking about their foods and they're thinking that, like, I'm interested, right? Like I wanted to hear, like, you know, that person may not think that I should be using the same water fountain, but I do find it fascinating, like culturally, like so I do see white, right? Like, and then, you know, like I said, if you're a black person from the Caribbean versus a black person from America versus you're a black person, you know, like maybe from the deep south or whatever, like there are different things culturally that I'm like, oh, cool. Like I want to learn about that. I like show me that. Like,
Right.
So I do think we should see that, but like you said, like I hope that there's a time where we don't need to have
Right.
these things, and you know, so people come to light.
Yeah, that's my hope, man.
Listen, we're better than Uganda, bro.
What's
Because the fact
what's
that there is even a Pride
Speaking
Night
of
being
Africa.
considered here, yeah, perfect segue. Because Uganda passed a law this week that makes it illegal to identify as LGBTQ. Anything, it is illegal to
Yeah?
identify as that. And if you are caught having any type of like gay, you know, if you identify like on social media or whatever, or showing anything, any gay type behaviors, what they call where that, dude, you're punishable for prison time or even death.
Yeah.
Can hang you for being gay or displaying.
Dude,
like,
I
in
wonder,
public.
did you read, like, is that based around religion? Is it based around the culture?
It's just the
Is it
culture.
just, like,
Because, and here's the thing is like, listen, I don't know shit about Ugandan politics, right? But what struck me was, you know,
is their population declining?
yeah, maybe they're like, yo, y'all need to be fucking for babies. You fucking just a fuck. Y'all here, we need to be catching babies, not AIDS. What's going on? Oh shit! But what struck me, I think, was I'm going out. What struck me was the reaction from the parliament, whatever the fuck you call it. I think it's parliament in Uganda. Like the reaction to the vote. Like, so here in America, right? Obviously, we have politicians that go rogue and sort of, I shouldn't say rogue, but that have their beliefs, and then they have like their subset of people that believe that way, and then there's a vote or whatever. Like, and so you might have some wild shit, but it doesn't make it far, right? Because the majority of the Congress and Senate doesn't think that way, right? But you'll have that one guy who's like, you know, whatever, I want to smash babies, whatever it is, like. And when I saw this vote, their entire parliament's like clapping and celebrating it. So it isn't.
Wow.
So it wasn't like a subset of people who were like.
So
we
do
should
they
do this.
have, okay, so is there,
So for the Ugandan people, this might be cool.
I was
I don't know.
gonna say, like, is it, so does this go out to the people for a vote? Like, what is their government? Like you said, parliament, so I kind of think over to the UK, which is, you know, they don't really have a president, but they have like the head of the, what do you call it, the prime minister?
The prime minister, yeah.
And then you have, but the prime minister can't like go rogue. Like he has to be, he's sort of just the leader of the parliament.
No, it just says Ugandan's parliament has passed sweeping anti-gay legislation that proposes new penalties for same-sex relationships and criminalizes anyone identifying as LGBTQ.
Wow.
And there's
So
like,
now I wonder, do they have a mass exodus out of there, and then where do those folks go?
and then can you?
Right,
Like,
can you?
Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
because it's. I mean, I guess you could, right? But some you could immigrate to whatever country makes it easy.
Yeah, and I would imagine that being that they have a parliament, that you know, it's not like a communist country where perhaps you can't leave.
Yeah, and listen, they're not the first country to do something like this, or even where this is a possibility. Like I know people in Singapore, like I'm pretty sure. You
Oh,
can't
really?
be
Same
gay
thing?
here. Yeah, there's like plenty of countries in the world that do that. I guess like my point is like, you know, we get stuck. I think as Americans, sort of. I don't want to say complaining because I do understand, you know, this fight for like equality, but I do think what gets lost in that message is like sort of the layers that we try to take it to as, you know, like whiny, sort of almost entitled free Americans is like we don't know how, like you can't have nice things. It's like because you give us the arm, you know, we want the, you know, you give us
Give
the
them the
hand, we want
handing
the
of
whole
the arm.
arm.
Yep.
Like, and then and I look on this other side of the world and I'm like, bro, there's people an 8-hour flight away who are like literally could get murdered for, you know, like licking the same genitals they have. Like it's just,
Right.
it's just crazy, but it's also like a sort of a reminder of like, fuck, how lucky are we to be born where we were born or live where we live?
We got it pretty good here, bro.
Yeah, man.
We
It's
do.
so
I mean,
sad.
we're not perfect, and we never will be, because there'll always be the next fight.
And there's
right?
always There's always the next fight. There's always the progress to be made. There's always that. But I think there is a certain perspective that we should have in terms of like we're pretty lucky, and I don't know. I don't want to say should we be directing our attention to more meaningful things, but like I don't know, man. Should we take a step back sometimes and sort of appreciate the progress we've made, and then go? I don't know. How do you bring synergy together to like put that energy towards things that move? I don't know, humanity forward. And maybe this is it, right? Maybe having a Pride Night at an NHL game is a humanity forward thing. Maybe the whole point of that is that we want to get all the way to a certain point where we do set an example for the rest of the world. Like I don't know the answer to that.
You know what's funny, man? As you say that, I was thinking about the whole like the slogan of "Make America Great Again,"
Mm-hmm.
and you go, okay, so are we going backwards? Like, is making it great again, meaning that we were great at one time, and then we want to go back to how it was?
Well, I think that was
And
the
then
issue with
what,
that slogan, right?
right?
That's why it was
And
so
then-
divisive, right? Because
But I
it was
think
like,
he's
again,
still with that. He kind of still with that slogan.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
He's
But I think that's a problem with, like, to your point, it's like going back, and I think for a lot of groups in America, it doesn't just have to be blacks or Latinos or
No.
gays.
Any-
It's just like a lot of groups. It's like shit didn't used to be that good. So what do you mean again? Like,
Right.
like what time
Like
are
when?
you talking about? Are you
we
talking about
we talking about 92?
yeah,
Or 52?
or 52? Right? Yeah, you talk about 02?
Right,
or,
right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like. Because if you're like, yeah, 02, post 9/11, like we were fucking,
We were together.
We were together. We were
Yep.
thing. Like I'm like, all right, I get it. But if you're talking about, to your point, you talking about 52, because then that's a problem. Because 52, bro, like I was working for you against my will. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, or 1752, I was right. But it's like, yeah, I think that's the issue with that slogan. Is like it was so divisive because it's like, what do you mean again? Like for a lot of people, it was like, bro, you talking about life is good now, dude. How many gay friends or family members or like people that you know of now, maybe colleagues that you're like who are maybe in their 50s and they're like, yeah, fuck, I couldn't be openly gay till I was like 35. And you're just like, holy shit, man. Like, like these kids now, like like you see now like high schoolers who are extremely open and thing, and you just go, and it's funny, man. I'll remember like talking to guys all the time or girls who would be like, yeah, fuck, I didn't come out till I was in my 30s or 40s or whatever.
Dude,
like,
I'm right thinking back to high school now, and I did high school here in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any gay couples in high school. Did you have any?
None come to mind, man. I think I might have had one, and it might have been girls. And so we're perverts as high schoolers, so we're like, that's cool.
But those two guys
But
over
those two
there,
guys over there, they gross. But no, I don't think so. I did know of guys that you're like, nah, you're gay. You don't know it yet,
dude.
But
Yeah. So I remember growing up. I grew up in like up until high school. I was in New York, and there was a kid that was a little older than me, but growing up, like he would hang with the girls, and he knew how to jump double dutch, and his mannerisms and his that shit matters, right?
that shit should be the entry fee. Like, Mom, Dad, I think I'm gay. Nah, come hit this double dutch right quick. We go.
We're gonna test you.
We go.
But his mannerisms and the way that he spoke was very sort of flamboyant and very like
the stereotypical, like,
yes. And we were kids, man. And it was funny, man, because I don't remember ever thinking that so and so was gay. I was just like, oh, like so and so likes to hang out with the girls, like so. Then since he hangs out with them, he kind of talks like them, and he has the mannerisms because he likes to hang out with them. That was me as a kid thinking that this is because this guy, I liked him just like everybody else, man.
Yeah.
Like he was a cool guy.
Cool,
he was cool. He just hung out with the girls.
Dude, for as long as I can remember, it's funny because I can't think of, you said like couples in high school, right? And I graduated from high school in 04, so early 2000s high school. Well, I can't think of couples. I can't ever think of a time where like anyone was gay and it bothered me or it was culturally unacceptable. Like I mean, in terms of like my group, like my clique, right? Like my peers, I should say.
Right.
Like for as long as I can remember, I was always like, yeah, all right, bro, I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or it'll be like, if I was friends with a dude and people be like, yeah, man, I heard he's whatever. I'm like, no, you cool hang, bro. Like, I don't care. Like, it never deterred me, or I never really thought twice about it. Like, after that, like, I've always kind of just been, and it has to be part of that era, right? I don't remember even going to school with people. Like, listen, there is definitely, and I think it's more of a cultural thing. There's definitely a machismo that comes with like the Latin community.
Oh, absolutely.
That was like anti-gay, but like, I don't even remember, like, in my family, man, like, we had family members that were gay growing up. Everybody made fun of him, but it was like he was openly gay. Everybody openly, like, just made fun of the fact that he was gay.
And he still hung around.
And he still hung around. Because, you know, Latinos, like, we'll destroy you. We'll bully the shit out of you. Like,
dude, for anything. If you're fat,
bro, everything.
Right? If you're skinny.
You can't bully a Latino kid, bro. By the time, I think I've said this shit on here before, by the time you've made it to school, we've taken your biggest insecurity and we made it your nickname. So, like, it's flaca,
like flaca.
Yeah,
or
flaca, gordo, gorda. Yeah, bro. Oh my God, bro. Una pierna. We'd be like, we take your biggest insecurity. So you never hear a Latin kid complain about bullying. It's like, bro, your closest family members, the people who allegedly love you, would have roasted you to death. But bro, my uncles called me pendejo so much, I thought that shit was my name. Like, for the longest time, bro, I was like, holy shit, man.
Oh man, that's funny as fuck. I don't even know. I'm like, where did we start with this?
I don't know, bro. But yeah, listen, man. Shout out to America, except for the hockey player.
NHL, get your shit together.
Get your shit together, bro. Oh man,
dude, talk to me about this Sony patent.
Yo, dude, this shit is cool, man. I know we talked a lot about NFTs on here, and
actually, we haven't for a while.
We haven't in a while, but like when it first came out, I remember we were talking about like, the practical applications, right? Like everybody sees NFTs now, and all they see is like the artwork thing, and the memes, and
that's kind of how it started, right? And we're buying fucking what's it, the ape, with the bananas,
the bored ape, and all that.
Yeah.
And it was like super fruitful for some people and all that, and it's all kind of sort of like settled down now, and it's sort of crashed. It kind of crashed, yeah. But Sony just took out a patent to use NFTs for their video games, so. In terms of like buying the software. So it's a patent for NFT use, and it's a transfer and sales of games. So you'll be able to take this and essentially, so the NFT, you know, for people who don't know, I guess high level is like you get a digital asset, but it's like a contract and you get the rights to that asset, and that's created in this, like it's digital, so you can't like fudge it. You can't, it's a non-fungible token or so.
That's what it stands for.
Literally that. So it's like, you can't fake it. You can't. So when we started talking about this, we started saying like, man, what does this replace? Like contracts, like, you know, your house deeds, your title companies, we were talking about like movies and all this stuff, tickets to events, all this stuff. Like it wasn't going to be the Bored Ape stuff and all that NFT was going to come to life. It was going to be shit like this. It was going to be banking. It's going to be that kind of stuff that's going to make it, first off, instantaneous to transfer, but also proof of ownership and proof of authenticity forever. Yes. And so Sony doing this is like the first step in that direction. This tells me that they're saying you buy a video game, you get an NFT, you own the rights to that game. Someone doesn't have that NFT, and I'm assuming it's like a one ownership transfer, cannot use that piece of content, and maybe they'll allow you to transfer it, but now that person owns that NFT and that content, and you can't play it or use it or whatever, have rights to it anymore if you transfer it to that person, but also you're buying that token. This is going to impact sort of like bootlegging movies, bootlegging games, bootlegging music, bootlegging that kind of stuff, because you're going to have this NFT where the transfer of that sort of digital contract gives you exclusive rights and ownership, and I don't know how easy it is to like duplicate that, or will it even work? Or
and that'll be the thing, right? So that'll be sort of the pirate thing. We're probably never going to stop.
No, because people are going to figure out a workaround for sure.
Right. So there'll still pirate stuff, but to have the authentic piece, like if they make, I don't know, if they make 100 of something, like, and you own number 2 of 100, like you'll own it in perpetuity, and because it's on the blockchain, like it knows that Juan Lorenzo owns that piece, and then you could even sell it with like, couldn't you even sell it like with like stipulations of just like, okay, well, I can sell
I
it
get paid on it forever.
and I get paid on it forever,
Yeah.
right? Like there's all kind of
I want a
there's
royalty
so many different
on that
ways.
album sale and
Yes.
perpetuity. And this changes like gaming, to that point. I'm glad you brought that up because like for gaming on the used gaming market, right? Like we know that like GameStop is a big reseller of you buy, trade, sell games. But now you have an NFT. If I buy a game and I decide to maybe sell it forward for or transfer it, right? And somebody pays me, but to that point, Sony can be the original owner. It knows that there was a transfer done for that
And
NFT.
it gets a cut.
They get a cut from that.
Yeah.
Like it changes everything. And we talked about this. We were talking about it.
And then so does GameStop go away, or places like that?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Well, what happens is GameStop has to change its model, which I think they're already
Right.
sort of doing, is because
Like,
they
don't
realize
be Blockbuster.
no one buys physical games anymore, right? Very few people do in terms of like this generation. So GameStop has moved to like you have to sell collectibles and you have to sell gift cards and you have to sell digital currency and maybe you sell
Right.
so. And it's funny you mentioned GameStop. They just posted their I think for them it's Q2, but for calendar year it's Q1. Their earnings, they had their first profitable quarter in over 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So and I didn't get a chance to read into why, but basically their investor call was like they came out in the green like by close to $50 million, but they had been taking losses because GameStop was just hemorrhaging money because their business model was like buy and sell used games. They've made this shift, and 2 years ago they got the big rise from the whole meme,
The Reddit.
the Reddit
Yep.
and the meme sort of run and all that
Yeah.
stuff, the Wall Street Bet stuff and all that. But anyway, so they've shifted. So yeah, I think people like GameStop have to make a shift and figure out how do you monetize that space, and then what else do you sell? Do you just become a seller of accessories, or you become a seller of collectibles and accessories and PCs or just consoles, because we know they don't really make money off consoles, and so you have to figure out a way to do that. So I think it'll be a shift in business models for a lot of industries, but also again, this was the whole thing where we're going, listen, NFTs are going to be more than just the art. Because I remember talking to people and they're like, but what, I get this picture, it's not even, it's pixelated and it's this or it's that. It's like, no. Like, this is the proof of concept. Like, you don't understand. This is going to change your banking one day. This is going to change your, like, your house, like your deed to your house. Or you hear these stories of people, like, having a physical deed and can't find it or whatever, and there's like,
yeah, and not only that, man, you had to hire like almost like a middle
title
person.
company.
Title company, that's it.
you get rid of
To
title
do that.
companies by doing this,
Yeah.
right? Because the title company's whole purpose is like that you get the title insurance. It's like they're almost guaranteeing that nobody else owns this house,
Right.
And all this is like you don't need it anymore. If you have the blockchain, you have the trail of who owns the house,
Yep.
and so you can see the previous owner who had the previous owner pass it to him, pass it to you, and so you're gonna make certain industries obsolete.
Yep.
But there's gonna be others born from this, right? So yeah, man, I saw that this weekend. I'm like, all right, so they're taking a patent out, which also then means for Sony, they get probably a royalty or licensing fee on this in perpetuity from other people who sort of use it in the same manner.
That's
And this is
fucking
funny, man.
nuts,
This is
dude.
how a lot of people build wealth. It's like, some people think of an idea of an invention, they may not even execute on it, but whoever does has to pay them because the idea came from them, and so like it's genius, and I'm sure
that's
Sony
nuts,
will
man.
execute on it too. But
it's interesting, man, that you say that because like the when the NFTs got really hot, like you said, it was the pixelated images and people didn't really understand it and whatever. And we talked about this on the show early on of the practical application for NFTs. And bro, it got me thinking like what are the other things that are gonna be like the maybe some of the little pixelated images and whatever, maybe that shit goes away, right? And it's this short period of time to where now we're starting to realize what NFTs possibilities are. And so the shit that we were buying maybe 2 years ago may be obsolete. It's like, what are the other things that are like, years on the line that you're going to go, holy shit, like this thing took off and became this other thing. I heard this clip this week, and it got me thinking about sort of the future and our kids, and we always talk about our kids on here. And it was the guy that wrote the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. What's his name?
Robert Kiyosaki.
I don't know.
It's like Robert Kiyosaki.
But he said that his rich dad told him, the moment you get a paycheck, it puts you in like a slave mindset.
Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the moment you get a paycheck, it puts you like in a slave mindset because you become dependent on this thing that you know is coming, every week or every 2 weeks, and then you kind of build your life around around this box almost, right? You say like I have this certain amount of money, and then so I'm gonna live on that. And hopefully, maybe I get some overtime or maybe I get a second job. But essentially, it's the slave to the paycheck. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you never make a paycheck and you go, I'm just going to figure out how to make money. I'm going to learn about money and figure out how to make money. Then you kind of stay hungry to make your next money, not the next paycheck.
Correct.
So tying this all together, I had a conversation with my kids this past week because they're turning 16 tomorrow. Happy birthday, my boys.
Oof, happy birthday, fellas.
So we talked about cars, and they're going to be getting cars and car insurance and what that costs. And I was telling them before, just like, like you need to get a job because I'm not going to be paying like for your car and your insurance and giving you gas money and money to go out. Like you need to have an income. But after hearing this, man, I'm going, fuck, man. Am I perpetuating this cycle that most of us are in accepting a paycheck? We talked about this about a week or two ago where I had my family together, and I always tell my boys, like, yo, watch people and listen to what they're saying, because some people are like really happy in what they're doing in life, but most people aren't, and they're just
listen to the complaints.
Yes, and they're just staying in jobs and shit that they hate because it's giving them a paycheck. And so I'm almost going back to like, fuck, man. Like I just told them, yo, you need to get a job. And was that the right thing to do, or should I take a step back and go, yo, you know what? Don't get a paycheck. Instead, figure out how to make money. Figure out money and how to make money, even if you start small.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I totally hear it because right, like in your unintended consequence of that is that you are going to sort of like add another cog to the wheel. Because they're just gonna go job, figure out this so I can pay for my car, pay for my gas, and like you said, they feed you like a little bit of the drug, and then it just becomes dependent on it, and
you make a little bit more, and maybe you get to a place where you're making what society would deem to be good money, right?
Yeah.
But then as your salaries increase, then it's like, okay, so maybe you get a better house or a better car, right? And then so you just become slaves. But you're still a slave to that paycheck.
Because now you have to pay for that house, you have to pay for that car, you have to pay for that clothes, you have to pay for that, like whatever lifestyle you started to cultivate from that job, you need that job or something equal to it to sort of sustain that.
Yep.
It's funny, man, you say that because I've been in this like space now where I'm like I have a teenage daughter, and my son isn't that far behind, and like thinking about like what I did as a teen and doing that, and I did what you're telling your kids to do. I went and got a job as a teenager.
Yeah, me too.
And all that, and so like it's funny, man. I don't have, and I shouldn't say it's a regret because it's not necessarily a regret. But if I could do it all over again, I think one of the things I wish I would have done, I wish I wouldn't have worked that young, that quickly. I think if I could, like I always tell, like, hey, if you could talk to like 15-year-old you, right? What would you say, right? And I would just go, you have the rest of your life to make money, and then you have the rest figure out how to make money, like you said, on your own. But then also there are moments in life that you get in those teenage years that you get in high school and all that you can't go back and recreate and do. And so like I think about what those jobs kept me from doing, and it might have been sports, it might have been clubs at school, it might have been outings with friends, it might have been like then for me what it did was it kept me from doing the traditional college route, because I went, well, I gotta work, I gotta do all this stuff. I didn't want to go live in a dorm and do that because I wanted to make money, and
right, you want to lose the money that you're making.
Exactly. And so, and I'm going, hey, stupid, like now I'm looking at it going, I had the rest of my life to do this now.
Right.
I had that window there till about 22 to experience that, like to experience high school and then experience college and then do that, and I can't do that again. And so when I'm thinking about my daughter, I'm thinking about I don't want her to work, man. It's funny. It's like I don't want her. What I struggle with is I want to teach her to sort of appreciate and understand that these things come as a result of hard work and a result of earning it and a result of figuring, whatever out. But, and it's also like, how do you do that when you're handling, like I'm handing this stuff over to her, right? So like, how do I find that balance between, I think what you can give your kids, man, is like, people always talk about like, I want to give kids something I didn't have, right? And I think about my childhood and stuff like that, and you were probably the same. Like, I've never thought of my childhood as bad. I think I had a great childhood. I think I had a great upbringing. I think I would have never sort of looked at my upbringing and been like, I didn't have X, Y, Z, so I want to give my kids that. I've never thought about it from that perspective. What I have thought about is that I want to give my kids opportunities that I didn't have, and I was given a lot.
Yep.
But I want to give them more, right? Like, I want to give them then the opportunity to. What happens if you don't have to work that job and you do get like all this time to think about what you want to do, or maybe try stuff? Maybe it's a club, maybe it's an internship, maybe it's like just try things, just do things. Like, you don't have to worry about gas in that car. Where does that lead? And so they have to play their part, and like, they're not just sitting around living off you,
right?
And it's like, how do you teach kids that? How do you teach them to not
right?
be
How do you
entitled?
right? How do you give them all that stuff and then them not be entitled?
Yeah.
Right, because there's gonna come a point where you're gonna go, all right, man, like, now you 22, so like, what's up?
And maybe the incentive is like good grades, right? Like, maybe the incentive, like we were talking before about, like you're trying to incentivize like your son for like good grades. Like, how do you find that? Maybe the incentive is, hey, like, you don't have to. I just need you to get good grades or whatever, and I will pay for X, Y, Z. That is your job, quote unquote.
Right.
That's the trade off, so that I do provide you with this stuff, because I don't just want to give it to you. And I've been lucky so far. Like, my daughter's still young, but I feel like I do get them now saying, hey, how do I earn this? How do I get this? Because I also don't do like the whole, like, I don't do an allowance thing. And I know, like, and I don't really have a stance either way. I like the allowance thing, I just haven't gotten into yet, because I'm just like, just ask me for what you want, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Right.
And normally I can go like, all right, if you do X, Y, Z, blah, blah. But the idea that I'm just going to give you X amount of money every week for like nothing, like, just because I told you I was going to give you that this week, it's like, I'd rather you just go.
No, we don't do it either, man.
Yeah, I'd rather
we tried it for a little while, man, and then I was like, nah.
I just go, what do you want? And then, like, like, even with my son now, we've done this chart thing where it's like, hey, here's the things you need to do every week, and then these are the things you need to cross out. And if you do all these things, then you'll earn X amount, whatever, like a point system almost, and then you can buy whatever you want. Yep. And so my daughter's the same way. My daughter's like, I really want to buy this game, or I want to buy this outfit or whatever, and it's just like, what can I do? I mean, it's like, it might be something as simple as things around the house. It might be like, help with your brother. It might be like whatever, like doing things. But I think I like the idea that she's not just like, give this to me, that she's just like, okay, how do I earn that? And we'll see how long that sticks. But I do like the fact that they've never been like, buy this for me. It's they're starting to get into that, like, hey, how can I get this? And so I'm like, good. Okay, at least something's registering there. Right. And sometimes it's something super asinine. Like, it might be something that I know they're going to do anyway. And I might be like, hey, I need you to do the X, Y, Z. But I think just instilling the idea to them that, oh, it's coming because I am earning it. They're not just, I can't just go to dad and be like,
and maybe that morphs into, when they're adults, into like, maybe the conversation that they have in their head when they want to get something is not, oh, I can't afford it. It's more of, how can I afford it?
Yeah. And it's funny, man, I probably not more, or not as much as I should or want to, but I have, like, me, like, I'll flip shit all the time. I might buy something I have, and I'm like, oh, it might be the coolest thing I have for now, and like a year from now I might be sick of it, and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'll figure out a way to get like some of my money back for it. Yep. At least, right? And I've figured out a way to do that with them, whether it's like Lego sets or whatever. I'll be like, hey man, keep the box, keep this in good condition, take care of it, and then just showing them, like, we're going to post this online, we're going to sell it. And I think even them seeing, like, oh shit, you got $20 for that? We paid 40 for it a year ago. Like, it's like, right. And you use it for a year and you got $20 for it later. Like, just even something small like that, just trying to instill in them, like, hey, we can sell this. Hey, this we can donate. Hey, this we can do, trying to figure that part out. Because, man, I when you're talking about, like, I push them to work, it's funny because I've had the total opposite of, like, how do I keep my kids from doing that? Like, right now, like, how do I, it's funny, I'm thinking about, how do I figure out a way that I work harder, that I'm like, I'll pay for your car, I'll pay for this, I'll pay for that. But then where I rack my brain around is like, what do I need from you in return? so that this
Right.
isn't a
'Cause
gift.
it's not
or,
a right. And,
or-
and that's why I struggle with, man, where I go like, am I, because there's certain times where our kids will do something and I'll be thinking in my head like, fuck, man, they don't get it.
no.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's an entitlement. And I'm like, fuck, did I do too much? Or were we too lenient? Or did we not stay on them? Did we not push them hard enough? I struggle with all of that. And it's just like, I still don't know what the right answer is.
No, me neither. And I really don't know what the right answer is, man. What I keep telling myself is like, how do I give them the opportunity? Like how do I give them, like, if you don't have to think about a job, do you take that internship? Do you there's certain majors where, like in nursing even, where you have to go X amount of time without working, and because you have to do clinicals and all this stuff. It's like, or if you have a kid who goes to med school, it's like, and they have to go through like their clinicals and do all that stuff. It's like, man, how do I give this kid the opportunity to, like, no, you can live with me, or I'll pay for your apartment, or whatever. Like, do that, like finish that. If that's your passion, like, go do that, figure that out. And it's like, I think that's what I think about the most. Like, man, I don't even care if my kids want to draw pictures on the sidewalk. It's like, how do I give you the opportunity to put yourself in a position to do that? Like, does that mean that you got a chance to go out on weeknights and a weekday and go draw on a random sidewalk or whatever and then get paid for it? Like, cool, because you didn't have to go work at Chipotle that night. Like, maybe that's it. Like,
But it sounds like you want to see your kids get passionate about something.
Yes, and I think that's a trade-off. For me, it's going, I need you to be trying shit. I don't care if you change it every couple months.
Right.
But I need you to be doing shit. Like, I'm not going to support this if you're just sitting at home and you're not doing anything and you're unmotivated or unambitious or whatever. Like, I'm going to give you the opportunity. What are you going to go do with it? Right. Because I think I think for me, what I wish is that I would have sort of like taken the time as a teen and went, I have the rest of my life to go make money. I have the rest. And listen, it's paid off for me in different ways. And so, like, I'm grateful for those things, but I also go, would this stuff still have happened anyway if I would have just taken like this 5 to 7, 8 year period to just like be a person? Like, I even think about like hobbies or friendships or what, like how many that I miss out on because I was working. Like, dude, I think about, I worked in high school as a senior Monday through Saturday I worked a night job every Monday through Friday, and then I worked Saturday, Sunday at a different job. And I did that.
Oh, wow.
And I did that like junior and senior year.
That's a lot for high school.
Dude, I worked at UPS and I worked at Disney. And so, like, I think about, what did I miss during that time? I missed like forging relationships, like friends and like, I went to prom, but I didn't do homecoming, and I didn't do Friday night games at the high school. I didn't keep playing sports. I didn't, like, it's like, what did I miss out on? I'll never know. And I think those are the things that are going to bother me. Like, like, what opportunities?
And I don't think you let it bother you, man, because I think that you probably forged other relationships and, through work.
For sure.
There's definitely, maybe you could point back to things that were sort of traditional in high school that maybe you missed out on. But as far as like relationships with people, you just had different relationships. Mm-hmm. And you probably got a different perspective because you work with people that were older than you, and you probably saw things that you go like, yeah, I don't want to do that, or don't want to be that. Because I did that shit too, man. I was working at a job in my 20s where I was looking at guys, and I was like, fuck, man, like, I don't want to be that age and be doing that role at that age.
Yeah, I did that
but I could see, I totally understood how those guys, because we were making decent money, and I was like, so I could see how you could almost get trapped.
Oh, absolutely.
In that.
Yeah.
And so I think you probably had different, and I know that some of those relationships that you had back then led you to other opportunities.
No, for sure. Like, I think for me, like, I'm super grateful about where I wound up in the relationship that I did forge, because it paid off long term. But I think the part of me that wonders is, like, would I have had those anyway? Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, would I have been able to make those relationships at 22, 23, 24 and spent, 16 to 22, like, actually doing other things and not stressed about trying to make money, or not stressed about making a car payment, or not stressed about, like, I was lucky enough that a lot of my employers paid for college, but like when they didn't, I had to pay for it, so it's like trying to figure that out. Like, should I have put more time into trying to get a scholarship? Like, shit like that is just like, I I think the only reason I look at that time and I go that I would have changed it is because it can only happen in that time frame, right? It's not like once you're past like 22, 23 and you live, you to 80, all that shit in between, you can do it in whatever order. It doesn't matter, right?
Absolutely.
I can't go play high school ball at 27. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't go to prom or homecoming or, hang out with my friends on a Friday night eating, ice cream down in the mall and playing at the arcade or whatever. Like, I can't recreate that memory at 27.
Yep.
I can go make money and then forge relationships and go to a work outing and do all that stuff, from there till I'm 70 years old.
Yeah, man. No, point taken. All right, how we doing on time?
The word, hour 10 already into this thing. Man.
All right, man. You want to close off on anything?
Let's see, man. We have anything I think worth checking out? This week was crazy. I feel like I'm going to save some of this AI stuff for, the gym heads, bro. You were talking about doing the gym before. Was that before we got on air? Yeah, we were talking about before on air, bro. Have you seen this little trend here where these gym heads are they want gains, man. A big thing in gym, you lift, you want to get major gains, and so they're adding something to their diet,
which is essentially like you just want to get get
diesel,
bigger, stronger,
they want to get swole, and whatever you call it, man. They want to get big, man. They want to see their results. So, and obviously diet is a big part of the gains.
Yeah.
So these gym bros are resorting to dog food due to its high protein content as a way to build muscle.
Have you ever? So I have one of my.
You tell me you tried that shit.
No, I've never tried it, man. But one of my sons, he always goes. He smells the dog food.
Yeah.
And we don't get nothing crazy. We get like Iams.
Okay.
He smells it and he's like, God, that smells so good. And I always tell him, like, try it. And he tried it one time.
Yeah.
And he just said, oh, it's really salty.
Huh.
But let me tell you something.
I mean, it is supposed to be.
I don't give a. There ain't that much fucking protein in that, man. Get you some eggs, some chicken, some tuna. Go get a protein shake. Like, dog food, bro? Nah. Is that so? I mean, like, is there something special about the dog food that is like conducive to growth in the gym other than protein?
No, it just says, it says, and it does say that it's potentially harmful.
Well, no shit.
Obviously,
it's not for human consumption.
Not designed for human consumption, but it just says because of the high. It says people on TikTok have noticed that the high protein content in dog food and have decided to include it into their diet, despite how potentially harmful dog food can be to humans.
Dude, just take PCP. You ever see those guys when the cops get like dudes on PCP and they got like superhuman strength?
I just picture these motherfuckers breaking handcuffs in the back of a cop car. Ta-da, motherfucker, and just running off.
Dude, have you ever seen that, man? Them dudes that be on like PCP and then they just like
that's every crackhead.
They have like superhuman strength when they get around cops. It takes like 4 cops to hold this dude down.
Like every
he weigh about $127,
bro, soaking wet, and he and this bitch curling a cop.
I wonder if there's ever been any kind of studies on that shit, like PCP and working out.
Oh man, there's gotta be.
There's gotta be something out there, man.
It has to be, bro. Because I know the new shit is like peptides too. Like people are taking like peptides, but peptides isn't like it's like it's not steroids. It's not quite. It's a lot less. I guess not effective, but it isn't as dramatic as like steroids or HGH. But I guess it's healthy, or so we think right now. Whatever, it's like a healthier way to do that. So because allegedly peptide is like what a lot of these like say like Hollywood guys will take like a Hugh Jackman to get like Jack for like Wolverine or like Ryan Reynolds. He's getting ready for Deadpool. That's like the rumors like you hear like these guys don't necessarily take steroids or taking like peptides and that sort of thing, and you can get that stuff like over the counter or prescribed. I think most of it is like prescribed depending on the form. But but the fucking dog food, I'm like
Dude, speaking of like actors, Chris Hemsworth, right? Is his name?
Yeah. Thor?
Yeah. If you guys see, like especially like the last Thor movie, like his physique is phenomenal, right?
Shredded.
Yo, he goes, it is the most miserable.
I believe him.
that he's been in his life.
Dude, I think Zac Efron said the same shit when he was playing one of those roles. I forget if it
Oh,
was
really?
Baywatch or the wrestler that he played, but he was like, "It's fucking terrible. It's not healthy."
Yeah, and even Chris Hemsworth was saying that like they would go on set and go like, no, like don't drink water.
Yeah,
Like,
you
don't drink
deprive
like
yourself
that.
of water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's
Because we need you
crazy.
to be like extra cut for this scene.
For the scene. Yeah, that's great. And some of them, like, I forget who it was. It might have been Zac Efron, where he goes, "We did all the scenes where I had to be shirtless first. Like, I went, do these first," because, like, he got himself to a certain
got him
point.
to where he needs to
And
be.
he's like, "I want to be able to, like, thing." And he was like, "It's miserable." He's like, "It's hard. It's not healthy. It's like, it's a shitty experience." You know, it's funny, man. Chris, I haven't watched the show, but he does a show on Disney Plus.
Oh, well, he goes places
And he
does
does shit, and
right?
all that.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that diagnosis that he got? Like, one of the things he did on that show was he took some DNA tests, and it showed that he was like at a really high, sort of the chances of him getting something like, I forget if it was Parkinson's or dementia or Alzheimer's. I think it was
Okay.
Alzheimer's, was really high, and like by a certain age. And he said that it forced him to make some changes in his life as far as like acting. He's like, "I'm gonna take some time off. I'm gonna go spend time with my wife, my kids, because I guess what it made him realize was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna have a point in time where I'm not gonna be able to. I'm not gonna remember. I'm not gonna." And
That's so scary, bro.
dude, and I'm like, fuck, man. So it goes back to like we were talking about before. It's like the knowing. He's like, fuck, I have this limited time. It's like, you know, maybe it's till he's 60, maybe it's to 70, but he's going, well, shit, like, I need to start creating memories. I need, like, fuck this work stuff. Like, I want to go do things. I want to go experience. And so he took, like, he said he was doing these Marvel movies, but then he took, like, time off where he's like, I'm not doing anything. I just want to be around my family and my friends and just do whatever I want, because the diagnosis, it's not even a diagnosis. It's like the prediction, if you will, of him getting that was just like,
Yeah, his chances are high.
dude. How many of us would, if you put a crystal ball in front of us, or if a DNA test told you like, you're gonna get this, you know, and your high chances of this, like,
I think most of us would change.
Oh my god, bro, you would. It's funny.
That's why we don't want to know.
No, that's the whole cliche of like, if you knew you were dying and blah 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 blah. I think like it's a cliche, but it's cliche for a reason, because it's like, every single one of us would absolutely change the way we live. And listen, there's practical reasons why you should.
Right.
But there's also a balance in there of like, you should treat it like you're gonna die tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like there's a practicality to like, you should act like you're gonna live for a long time, but also you should also live like you're not gonna be around like a long time. Like there's a middle ground in there somewhere where you go, it would significantly change or alter our day-to-day like behaviors.
So then when you think about that, right, if you could just figure out how how do you get that balance, and then figure out financially how do you support that middle ground, right? Like what do you actually need to have versus, you know, what you want to have.
Yeah, because it boils down to like, you know, it's really more about what you spend and not necessarily what you make. And
could all live on less, bro. COVID taught us that.
COVID taught us that big time, and we're still recovering from that.
Yep.
So yeah, man. So
all right, man. On that, tell them where they can find us.
Sen, we are at the Carbon Football Podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube, the Carbon Football Podcast, and at the Carbon Footprint, or the Carbon FP Pod on Twitter, and all your favorite streaming and audio platforms, man. We're on Audible, we're on Amazon Music, we're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Pods, Podchaser, Savangana, all of them, man. So go out there, subscribe, leave a review, tell your friends, go on YouTube, hit that like, subscribe button around here somewhere. I forget which one is where.
It's one of these sides.
They might both be over there next to Sean. Go ahead, hit the little thumbs up thing, and make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when the new episodes are out, man.
And on that, we appreciate you guys. Got some good feedback this week, so shout out to all of you guys.
Yeah.
Got 2 people in the family that I had no idea was listening.
Same.
Reached out, really?
I found out this week that I have an uncle I didn't know who listened to all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
And we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.